One of my prayer practices is to pray through the writings of the Desert Father and Mothers. And these stories are always interesting, but always, to me, most of the time insightful. Sometimes I don't actually understand quite what they're getting at. But there's a particular story that I was praying through the other day that I think is truly helpful. Abba Sissos asked Abba Or, "Give me a word." And he said to him, "Do you trust me?" He replied that he did. Then he said to him, "Go, and what you have seen me do, do also." Abba Sissos said to him, "Father, what have I seen you do?" The old man said, "In my own opinion, I put myself below all men." As we think about that point, how important it is for us to take that sense of humility that Abba Or was demonstrating and take it on ourselves. Let us just look at how we treat others who we disagree with. We tend to treat them as the enemy. All we have to do is look at the political discourse and the religious discourse of this day and age. And everyone who is on the opposite of us tend to be demonized. I'm not saying you personally do this, but you know what I'm getting at. They're belittled, and there is no real sense of seeing human dignity in the other, because we can act as though they don't deserve it because, look at the way they think. That's a problem. But today in the first reading, we are reminded of something so powerful, and it truly gets at the heart of what Abba Or was getting at. Have we not all the one Father? Has not the one God created us? Why then do we break faith with one another, violating the covenant of our fathers? And what is that covenant? Well, Jesus told us, and he was very clear about this, and he didn't really create any caveats to this. Love your neighbor as yourself. But I can hear people thinking a little bit, but what if they are our enemy? What if there is, they are on the opposite side? Well, Jesus took care of that because he told us, love your enemy, bless those who persecute you. No caveats on this. We are called to always treat the other with respect and dignity. Our world doesn't call us to do that. We have cancel culture and this thing and the other thing. Whatever someone has done, we have a right to attack them, to belittle them, to put them down. And yet, that is not the message that we get from Jesus today. That is not the message that we are called to as Christians. Because the reality is the only real division that should exist in our lives concerns Christ. And it is, we believe, and the others may not. But it's important to recognize that even in that division, our faith is clear. The other is still worthy of respect and dignity, even when they disagree with us on the most important point possible, who Christ is in their lives. And Jesus today gives us again no caveats. The greatest among you must be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. Christ calls us to that life of humility, to that life where we are not tearing down others, but building them up. That doesn't mean we can't disagree with people. In fact, that's honestly important that we do, but never to a point where we are making them less. Never to the point where we are not seeing them as a human being worthy of respect and dignity. Because ultimately, as we look even at our lives as Catholics, we're not defined by the political titles that seem to be thrown around so often of liberal, conservative, traditional, orthodox, whatever you want to say. We're not defined by what we think or even by how we act. We're defined by our heart, which God alone can read. And that's what we must never forget. May we truly hear this call from Christ to that life of humility. May we truly take hold of the lesson that Abba Or taught. In my own opinion, I put myself below all.